Hey guys, we're in Yosemite for the third weekend in a row, and this weekend it's pretty chilly. We're in Cathedral Beach, El Capitan. So today we're gonna talk about, I think, a topic that not many people talk about, and that's being afraid of getting into the outdoors because they don't have the right gear or the latest gear. And we're pretty much here to talk to you about how you don't need any of that stuff if you want to get into the outdoors. You just got to do it.
Of course, having the right gear like hiking boots, insulated jackets, right? All of those things are going to make your experience more comfortable and potentially keep you safer. We're not saying just get out there in flip flops, but again, if maybe access to gear is just not affordable, or if you're just getting out into the outdoors and you don't know if it's going to be worth the investment, don't let not having the gear keep you from just getting out there.
We're always hiking almost every weekend or getting outdoors, and a lot of our friends are always asking us, like, how do you guys do it? What do you need? Like, what do I need to get into the outdoors? Like, we don't do it because we don't have gear like you guys. Well, honestly, like when we first started hiking, we didn't have any of that. And honestly, I think some of our greatest memories have been without all the fancy equipment, without all the hiking gear that we have that we have now. To this day, I still can't believe that I would be spending, $30 on a pair of socks, of wool socks, but you don't need any of that.
Yeah, I think when we first started hiking, we used what we had. When we started hiking together, we were both in college, so we couldn't really afford really any of the gear. I remember one of the very first hikes that Bernardo and I did together in Yosemite. We were both unprepared. It was a very spur of the moment. I was wearing Ugg boots, and we kind of just got off to just walk around, like that was the plan, but we ended up tagging along behind this family, and we ended up hiking Vernal Falls. Again, I was wearing Ugg boots.
We were pretty much beat up after that hike, even though it's not a long hike. But honestly, we didn't have the proper shoes. I think I was wearing my old pair of joggers and an old pair of running shoes, and my feet were pretty beat up afterwards. I couldn't wait to get to the car and take off my shoes. And as she mentioned, I've always been one of the spontaneous one, the one that, let's do it. Let's see where this trail takes us. And well, those are some of the memories we remember, and it's the most memorable memories that we have from Yosemite when we first started.
Yeah, I remember my Uggs got so ruined. They were soaked. We didn't even finish the hike because we were in pain, and we didn't really pack any snacks. It was a learning experience for sure. We learned to be more prepared after that. We carried water. We made sure to know what our trails were going to be like so that we could prepare for the weather. But even that, we used what we had. Again, we were in college, so we used whatever, gym clothes we had, whatever running shoes we had. I think the only investment we made was a small hiking backpack.
Honestly, I think our very first hiking backpack, like she said, I think we purchased it at Costco and it was on sale. I think we were super excited when we got that backpack. And honestly, looking back nowadays, I mean, it probably got us through two hikes before it ripped. But again, that's stuff you remember. It's the stuff that you first get when you first start getting into the outdoors and the memories that you make with that equipment.
And even as a kid, I remember, we grew up close to Sequoia National Park. I would go camping in the nearby areas with my family, and we would go hiking without even knowing that hiking was a term. Again, I do remember having a tent, but other than that, we used whatever we had. Whatever shoes that we had. We didn't have the backpacks with the water bladders. We would just use water bottles. Even then, like, we enjoyed the outdoors. There was times where it wasn't comfortable, right? But it didn't stop us from being out there.
I think my family was very similar. When we catch a break, or our vacation was, let's go camping. But we had one tent. But we didn't have a sleeping bag. We didn't have a camping mat. It was like, you just take all
The big blankets.
the big blankets that you have and you use what you have. You take the pillows you have at home. And looking back nowadays, I remember when it was super cold, we just put on 3 pairs of socks. Did it help? Who knows? But hey, like I remember wearing 3 pairs of socks, and you work with what you had.
And that's the message that we want to get out there, that you work with what you have. I think it's something that's not talked about enough in the outdoor community. It's a lot of like, well, you need this and you have to buy this and you have to be prepared. And yes, eventually that would be ideal. But again, it's just like getting into any other hobby. When you're first starting out, you don't know all the ins and the outs. You maybe don't have access to the knowledge to know why the gear is important. Maybe you don't have the resources, right? You don't know where to buy the things, or you don't know, what's worth investing in, not because gear is really expensive. So that's just kind of the message that we want to give out is just start with what you have and just start, right? Kind of like if you're picking up any other hobby like running or going to the gym, we all have to start somewhere.
So, if you guys want to get into the outdoors, get out there, create some memories, that way you have stories to tell your future kids, your girlfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your parents, your family members. Honestly, heck, if you don't have anyone to tell these stories to, write them down below. I'd love to hear your stories, or email us. I'm always one
Yeah.
to, I've always been a talker. So, hey, let us hear some of those stories that you guys have when you first made it to the outdoors and your first hiking trip or your first camping trip. We'd love to hear it, guys. That's pretty much one of the main reasons why we decided to create this channel, and that was to, give out a lot more information to the people that don't know how to start or how to get into hiking, how to get into camping. Be spontaneous. Get out there. Make some memories.
Be spontaneous and be safe, right? We learn through experience.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions on any, hiking or camping, related questions, ask them down below. And if we don't have the answer, heck, we'll look it up and will try to be as informative as we can.
We hope that this video was helpful and that we encouraged you to get out there and start exploring.
Que la pasen bien.